Today we are going to learn about the zeros of a polynomial. For that we need to know what the roots of an equation are. We start with two basic equations. Here you see two kinds of equations. The first one here is known as a numerical equation because it deals only with numbers. The second one here is known as an algebraic equation because it deals with variables. And this is our topic, so we don't need this. Now your equation has three parts. It has a left hand side and right hand side known as LHS and RHS, separated by an equal to sign. These are the three components that you need in an equation, an LHS and RHS and an equal to sign. Now the root of this equation is that value of the variable which satisfies this equation, or in other words that number that you put in the place of this x so that the LHS and the RHS are equal. Now randomly consider any number. Randomly consider 100. 100 plus 6, what will it give you? It will give you 106 is equal to 8, which is not correct. So this is not right. Now you will find that the only number in this world which satisfies this equation is 2. So only 2 is the root of this equation. Now this brings us to the zeros of a polynomial. Now what is a polynomial? It does not have an LHS or an RHS. It does not have a equal to sign. All it has is something which looks like this. This is your polynomial. Now we come to the zero of a polynomial. The zero of a polynomial is that value that we substitute for the variable so that the whole polynomial reduces to 0. So do you see what is happening here? We started with a polynomial which did not have an LHS or an RHS or an equal to sign. But then its 0 means that number that we put in the place of x so that it becomes equal to 0. So what is the number? What is the only number that you can think of? It is minus 6. Minus 6 is the zero of this polynomial. Except for minus 6, it has no other zeros. Now you will often see the terms zero and roots being interchanged. They are often used in the same context. But just now we saw that it is not so. Again, the word zero, the concept zero is often confused with the number 0. The number 0 is completely different. The zero of a polynomial is completely different. Here what do you have? You have minus 6 is the zero of a polynomial. Can you tell me of a polynomial whose zero is a 0? For example, 4x. Look at this polynomial. Its zero is a 0. Because 0 is the only number which when multiplied by 4 will give you 0. So you see here you have two different polynomials. Here its 0 is minus 6. Here its 0 is 0 itself. Not only this, any polynomial which does not have a constant term. Remember that 0 will be its 0. I will show you an example. Now look at this polynomial. It is a polynomial with a huge degree. Its degree is what? Its degree is 1000. Now you will see that 0 is a 0 for this polynomial. Check it out for yourself. Put a 0 here, put a 0 here, put a 0 here, and what do you see? This whole thing will become 0, which means what? 0 is a 0 if your polynomial has no constants. Now, what if it has a constant? Now look at this polynomial. It is the same polynomial, but I have just added a constant term to it. I have just added a 7 by 2, but the degree remains same. The degree is still 1000. Now, if it has a constant, then 0 can never be a 0. Just check it out yourself. Put a 0 here, a 0 here, a 0 here, and see what will you get. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 7 by 2 is 7 by 2. It is not 0. It will never become equal to 0. If you have a constant, then your 0 cannot be a 0. But if there is no constant, for sure you can assume that 0 is a 0. So please do not get confused with the concept 0 and the number 0. Now these are the things that we learnt in the previous chapter. We saw how to find the degree. I will give the link below, please see that. Now this is how your zero polynomial looks like. How many terms does it have? Now literally if you look at it, you would think that it has no terms or it has no non-zero terms, and that is a literal thing. But mathematically you can say that it has infinite terms. Why is that? Look at this. There. Now see, it is a zero polynomial, but then I have written 3 terms here. Just like that, I can add as many terms as I want. It will still be correct. So mathematically, you can say that a zero polynomial has infinite terms. Plus, 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 you can keep on adding because all the coefficients are 0. So you can keep on adding. You can say that its terms are infinite. And now, what is its degree? Its degree is not defined. Now let's find its 0. Now instead of writing like this, is it okay if I write like this? It is okay, right? It is 0. I have not changed anything. Now for what value of x does this equation hold? What about 99? If I put 99, will that be a root? Of course, yes, 0 into 99 is 0. So I will say that its 0 is 99. Now, somebody else will come and say, what about 99,000? If I put 99,000, the answer will still be same. So this is also a 0. Now, you can just keep on writing any number that you want. Any natural number, whole number, integer, rational number, any sort of numbers you put here. It will be a 0 for the zero polynomial. What does that mean? Its 0 is any number in this world, or in other words, it has infinite zeros. There, your zero polynomial has infinite zeros. Any number that you can think of is a 0 of the zero polynomial. Now we come to the constant polynomial. Think of any constant. I will take pi. I am taking pi. It just means it is what? 22 by 7. Now what is the 0 of it? What can I write it as? It can be written as x raised to 0. Why? Because x raised to 0 is 1. So I am just writing it as pi into 1. So there is no problem with that, right? Now, for what value of x will this become 0? Absolutely no value. Why is that? Instead of x, put any number that you can think of, any non-zero. You cannot put 0. Okay, 0 raised to 0 is what we call an indeterminate form in maths. You cannot put that. Instead of that, put any non-zero number that you can think of, 1 or 2 or 9 or 100 or whatever number you put here, the answer will still be only 1. Think of 9 or 2001 or whatever raised to 0, it will still only be 1. This whole thing will always be 1. That means into pi into 1 will always be pi. This will never be 0. There is no situation in which a non-zero number you can equate it to that. So what does that mean? The 0 of a constant polynomial is, there is no such thing. The constant polynomial has absolutely no zeros. Now let us start with degree 1 and degree 2 and so on. Let us go to degree 1. How does any polynomial of degree 1 look like? We have already discussed it. Your polynomial of degree 1 looks like this. It is of the form ax plus b, where a cannot be 0 and its degree is 1. Now let us find its 0. There, this is how you find its 0. Its 0 is the minus of the constant term into reciprocal of the coefficient of x. What is the coefficient of x? This. Take its reciprocal. 1 by that will give you the 0. Now, this is a standard form. For any polynomial of degree 1, its 0 is given by minus b by a. So you don't have to go through all the procedure, equal to 0, then transposing, changing the signs. No need for all of that drama. Just look at it and tell me the answer. negative of the constant term. The constant term is what? It is pi. Its negative is minus pi. And then what? Multiply it with the reciprocal of the coefficient of x, which is 1 by 2. So minus pi by 2 is its root. Is it? Check for yourself. There. 2 and 2 gets cancelled, that leaves minus pi plus pi, that is equal to 0. So you have got the correct answer. If you want, you can do it the lengthier method. You can equate it to 0 and do it. You will still get the same answer. What about this? Negative of the constant, which is what? 5 into reciprocal of this 1 by 2. Its reciprocal is 2. So 10 should be your root. Put 10 here and see if you get a 0. We come to the polynomial of degree 2, but I am going to stop here. The rest we will continue in the next class. Why is that? This is in the terms form. What is the term form? Term is something which is separated by a plus sign or a minus sign. From the term form, we have to change it into the factor form. What is a factor form? Something which is separated by multiplication. We have to change it like this. Why do we have to change it like that? That we will discuss in the next class. Now let us wind up our class. Let us see what is the relationship between the degree and the 0. Now look at this. When your degree is 1, you have 1 0. When your degree is 0, you have no zeros, or in other words, you have 0 zeros. Now, what does that tell you? If the degree of any polynomial is n, its number of zeros will be maximum n. What do you mean by maximum n? Mean if, for example, your degree is 2, then you can have maximum 2 zeros. That means you can have 0 or 1 or 2. Then what can you not have? You cannot have 3 zeros, 4 zeros, 5 zeros. You cannot have. Your maximum number should be 2 zeros. You may have exactly 2, or you will have less than 2. In our next class, we will take a polynomial of the degree 2. We will break it into factors. We will find out why we have to break it into factors. We will break it into factors and we will consider 3 cases. One with 1 0, one with 0 zeros, and one with 2 zeros. But that is for another day. Till then, Assalamu alaikum.